government workers like veterans are unemployed. All of those things are taking a toll on Donald Trump. And as we head into the State of the Union, that's not good news for Donald Trump.
I think Donald Trump is doing an amazing job so far on the things that he ran on.
What's happening, everybody? Scott Jennings and Democrat Congressman Suhas Subramanian joined the panel on CNN recently. Scott Jennings debated the congressman and the rest of the panel on DOGE and the cuts they're making. The panel contended that they're cutting a lot of invaluable federal employees and that these cuts will hurt Americans. One panelist even suggested that due to these cuts, a terrorist attack is inevitable. I'm not joking. She actually said that. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings somehow hold it together as the fear-mongering Democrats do their best to scare the American people. Let's go.
President Trump has put together, I think, the best cabinet ever. The president is the commander-in-chief. I do what the president asks.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Welcome back. My panel is here. And one of the things I want to put on the table here is whether what we saw between Elon Musk and the J.D. Vance sort of behavior and the theater, if you will, that went into a lot of the substance that really matters. Is it kind of Apprentice 2.0? Congressman, thank you so much for being here. I'll start with you.
Yeah, you know, right now I represent a district with a lot of federal workers, for instance, and a lot of people who touch foreign policy. And I've learned a couple of things. One, we're losing a lot of really critical, important people. There's a brain drain in our federal workforce. And a lot of the people that are being cut are actually people who are very critical to a lot of these government services that people really rely on. So it's going to hurt every American. And the second thing I keep hearing is that people are having to take loyalty tests, essentially. And really, this is just, this is not about cutting waste, fraud, and abuse at this point. This is about, you know, who's loyal to the president, revenge on political enemies, and control over the federal government. And so this is bad for all Americans, not just federal workers in my district.
Aaron?
I think that what you're seeing with Elon Musk at DOGE right now is that the largest, fastest growing employer under the Biden administration was the government. And that is going to be reined back in under President Trump. He made very clear that the government was not going to continue to keep growing. And that means that waste, fraud, and abuse are going to be cut out. And for Trump to have Elon up there, Elon can be the foil in this. Democrats are mindlessly chasing Elon Musk around D.C., over to USAID, over to whatever department they want to stand in front of, and try to make noise instead of focusing on what's most important to the American people. Democrats don't have a strategy right now, so they're chasing Elon. And for the vice president right there, he was always very much about there needed to be limits to what we were doing with Ukraine. So again, him being the foil there, setting the stage for Trump to be able to say, yeah, actually, that's right. You should be more appreciative about what we've been able to do to help you maintain your sovereignty and fight off the Russians. So both of these can be great foils for Trump to stand there and cut the deal and make the government swallow.
Well, but there is no deal when it comes to Ukraine, and actually the only
Democrats
person,
did a good job.
Well, the only person who benefited from the outburst on Friday was Vladimir Putin. It did not benefit Ukraine. It did not benefit America. And I know that the White House likes to take a victory lap on that, but it only benefited Vladimir Putin. There is a CNN poll that just came out this morning that talks about how 52% of Americans disapprove of the job that Trump is doing right now. If you look closer at the poll, yes, you have Republicans approving by overwhelming amount. You have Democrats disapproving, but the real number is a 59% of independents who don't approve of what he is doing right now. And so things like cutting the government, ensuring that federal government workers like veterans are unemployed, all of those things are taking a toll on Donald Trump. And as we head into the State of the Union, that's not good news for Donald Trump.
Take a quick look at the picture of the ladies on the screen. If you hadn't seen any of this panel discussion and you were just asked to choose which one of these people was an ex-DNC chair and which one was an ex-communications director under Donald Trump. Now, I'll just say one of these ladies looks like if you were to open an encyclopedia for DNC chair, her face would pop up. And the other one worked for Trump. I can't put my finger on what the difference is, but I don't know, maybe you guys know. A little bit of a tangent there, but okay, we're back on track. Now, that was a little bit of a brain teaser for you to noodle on, but I actually have a legitimate question for anybody watching this. And I'm, for once, not being sarcastic. Besides federal employees that have lost their jobs, which isn't easy on anyone, and I wish the best to anyone that's lost their job during this time, but Have the cuts that Trump, DOGE, and Elon Musk's team have made impacted your life negatively in any way? Or has it affected somebody you know negatively? Sincerely, please let me know in the comments, because I've heard over and over from Democrats, anytime DOGE and or cuts are brought up, that essential agencies and personnel are being cut that affect millions of Americans. However, based solely on my experience and observations of my friends and family, etc., I haven't heard of a single instance where folks are feeling any effects whatsoever of the cuts that have been made. So again, I'm willing to be wrong. Please let me know. I don't know if you've noticed it, but since I watch all these stupid videos, I've been noticing a trend lately. Anytime a Democrat is presented with a question about DOGE or any cuts that are being made, they always say, this isn't about uncovering waste, fraud, and abuse. And then they tell you all the reasons that Donald Trump's doing it. So true to form, this congressman says that Donald Trump's performing loyalty tests or something. I think this guy's confusing loyalty and someone who will be a good employee and do what they're asked to do. Or maybe it's me that's been thinking backwards about this the whole time, you know? I never thought of it his way. I mean, he's right, you know? Donald Trump is way out of line to expect people to do their job according to what the boss wants them to do. You guys know I'm a big Trump supporter, but how dare he, you know? I hope this conversation gets better for Donald Trump. Let's get back to it.
I think Donald Trump is doing an amazing job so far on the things that he ran on, immigration. The border is, just his taking office, the border is effectively shut down. The attitude change from the federal government effectively closed the border. Look at the people coming across now. Look at the encounters today versus what was going on with Biden. I think on March 4th, you're going to hear them talk a lot about the success on immigration. As it relates to Ukraine, look, Zelensky made a huge mistake on Friday. All he had to do was show up and sign this deal, and he just couldn't do it. And sometimes these guys, when they put on the military uniform, they have trouble taking it off. He needs to take off the military garb, put on the garb of diplomacy, and understand that he's got an honest new broker on the field who can actually help him end this war, maintain his sovereignty, maintain prosperity for the Ukrainians. And regarding Elon and the bureaucracy, if I just may respond to something you said about the bureaucracy, there seems to be, when Republicans are president, that this idea that the bureaucracy and the government should not be responsive to the political leadership of the executive branch. That is totally false. It has nothing to do with a loyalty test, but it does have to do with whether or not the unelected bureaucracy is responsive to the political oversight of the government. And Democrats right now do not seem to believe that the president should be able to be the president.
You should come to my town halls. You should come and talk to some of these federal workers. Many of them are veterans, in fact, but many of them are very competent. What we're doing is we're prioritizing loyalty over competency.
I don't doubt
That's
it.
bad for our country.
But I prioritize
right
the
now.
political leadership. Elections have consequences, and they need to understand.
But critical programs are being cut off. Contractors are having their contracts canceled for things that really will hurt the American people if we end up doing this.
But
We're
right
already
now,
starting,
these
right?
are just fear-mongering talking points at this point from
Yeah,
Democrats.
it's really happening.
No, I understand that people are losing their jobs, and I am sympathetic to that. But all Democrats, you have yet to actually point to something concrete that has been cut, an employee that has been cut, a service that has been cut, that has caused
let me just let her-
the devastation.
We
that
had
you're
people
talking
who are
about.
in charge of tax fraud losing their jobs. What are you
Because,
talking about?
because
Fraud and
what,
abuse,
Democrats
right?
wanted to add 84,000 more IRS agents? That is bloated bureaucracy that's failing the people. That is not a critical, tax fraud is not a critical
the
need
congressman respond.
for the country.
Yeah, but that money is going to come back. That's how we get more federal revenue, right? The IRS is in charge of trying to make sure that we have less tax fraud, less tax waste, right? And to allow the cuts to the IRS means we're going to lose money. I mean, this is not allowing taxpayers to get their money back.
Come to your town hall? I don't need to. Of course, federal workers that have been laid off aren't happy. Who is happy when they lose their job? But since they're not happy, is that a reason to continue employing people and spending money unnecessarily? I know I sound like a broken record, but Democrat logic is so stupid. Evidence to them always equals anecdotes. This congressman looked genuinely shocked when she said, "You haven't given us one critical job, person, or agency that has been cut that has affected any Americans." So what's his response to that? He cites someone that got fired that investigates tax fraud. So let me get this straight. Because he spoke to someone that was a tax fraud investigator, what does that mean to him? Is he insinuating that tax fraud won't be investigated anymore? They have nothing to complain about. Do you see this? It's just complaining about what might happen. And by the way, investigating tax fraud is one way of bringing in federal revenue. Another way is eliminating the rampant waste, fraud, and abuse of our federal government. Don't worry, brother. You'll get your precious tax revenue, buddy. The IRS isn't going anywhere, I promise you. So stupid. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
We're losing money as a country.
And going back to loyalty, I think it's a very fair point because you claim that Trump is not asking for loyalty within the federal government. He absolutely is. I was at the Department of Justice. They're telling, essentially attorneys, career prosecutors, if you are not loyal to Trump, then you should get out of here. He fired the January 6th prosecutors. He's trying to fire FBI agents. 5,000 FBI agents who worked on January 6 cases. If you fire 5,000 FBI agents, we will have a terrorist attack, unfortunately.
We have elections for a reason in this country. We vest all executive authority in a president of the United States, not in an unelected bureaucracy, not in independent agencies, but in a president. The president's agenda matters. When a Republican is president, the bureaucracy resists. It has to stop.
That sounds more like a king. It does not sound like
sounds
president
like our
of the
Constitution
United
to me.
It sounds, well, they're not upholding the Constitution.
Yeah, it's not our Constitution to impede on the spending power of Congress, for instance, and take away agencies that we authorize. So this is not constitutional at all.
But then Democrats want to sit here and complain about that, but had no issue whatsoever when Joe Biden defied the Supreme Court and continued to unilaterally pardon student loan debt. That money was all
10 seconds,
fanciful and monopoly then.
Right now, I've talked to the federal workers. This is going to do lasting damage to our country if we let these cuts go through. And so I'm going to continue to fight.
There's two parties, Dana. Yeah. One wants bigger government, one wants smaller government. I think I'll take it to the midterms.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here.
So now Trump's actions are so bad that a terrorist attack is inevitable. Who the hell takes these people seriously? And that congressman, again, with no concrete evidence, DOGE and these cuts are going to do lasting damage to our country. What kind of damage? Swimming in all the money that they save us, you idiot? So stupid. I don't want to be an ideologue, but I just feel like everything DOGE is doing and the cuts they're making are all good things as of right now. The second I see Elon Musk make moves that are somehow hurting American people, I'll be the first one to call it out. But get rid of all this waste, fraud, and abuse. It's so long overdue to audit this ridiculous, bloated bureaucracy we call a government. But what do you all think about this conversation amongst this CNN panel? What do you think about Scott Jennings' comments? And what do you think about DOGE and the cuts they're making in general? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching videos of just stupid mainstream liberal media people parroting talking points with no real substance, then click on one of the videos that's just about to pop up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I've got the best viewers on the planet. I really, really appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your day just to watch my video. It means a ton to me. Never forget, Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.